Presentation 1, Overview of Services Marketing, prepared for discussion by Karen Wagan Pastrana, Instructor 1 from the Institute of Management. Why do we really need to study service? In service industries, people are provided with intangible products or services in which by nature have no physical characteristics, cannot be touched, and sometimes cannot be seen. The study of service is very important to businesses because of the challenges of intangibility and the level of customer satisfaction on services received, which varies widely. Generally, a service sector is composed of diverse range of services, including transportation, education, healthcare, and finance. In the study of Serafika et al. In 2001, it was revealed that services account for 60% of domestic product and almost 57% of employment in the Philippines. Additionally, the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, said that the gross value added, or GVA, generated in the country increased by 5.3% in 2001 to 11.2 trillion pesos from 10.6 trillion pesos in 2020. The decrease in gross value added in 2020 was observed among service providers during the first wave of COVID-19 in the Philippines. Other examples of service industries include accommodation of food services, activities of membership organizations, repair of gadgets and appliances, transportation services, and other similar related ventures. Mentioned undertakings were also the subsectors that suffered massively during lockdown periods, as published in the report of the performance of the Philippine services sectors in 2021. Now let us discuss the definition of service. Service is an act of labor, a performance, or an effort that does not produce a tangible commodity. In contrast to goods or products, which are tangible in nature, meaning to a certain extent can be experienced through the five senses, the eyes, hands, nose, tongue, and sometimes the ears, services are the opposite of tangibility, or the combination of tangibility and intangibility, because it cannot often be seen, touched, smelled, tasted, and or heard before customers avail the service offerings. And it goes without saying that services are inseparable from their production, which may or may not be tied to a physical product. Examples of services from tangible dominant of goods are shoes, videocassette recorder, automobiles, and fast food restaurants wherein a physical product was purchased, or a physical store was visited, yet customers may still avail an after-sales service such as shoe repair, videocassette recorder warranty, automobiles maintenance, and the assistance of service crews from a fast food restaurant. On the other hand, examples of intangible dominant of ideas and services are education, insurance, and consultation wherein the customers will only see the results of the services availed only after the purchase. Say, educational services can only be considered effective and efficient if the students will get high grades or will pass the semester or will successfully graduate or moreover will be hired by prestigious companies and or institutions. The same is true for insurance, which can only be utilized once the client have fully paid its premium, which main purpose is to protect the policyholder from a loss, hazard, or harm. Alternatively, consultation services produce products such as knowledge, ability, or software which are hard to measure and can only be appraised through service quality, reliability, and responsiveness to customers. Next is the intangible elements of services. Service intangibility, from the word intangible, means that services provided to customers are non-physical and has the non-ownership perspective compared to products and or goods that we usually purchase, whereby tangible elements are present, such as the physical characteristics which can be perceptible by sense of touch and sight. And we, as customers, can easily identify whether the product is satisfying or quality enough or not. The same can be true or can be false when we talk about services, because it consists both mental intangibility and a physical intangibility. A useful way to differentiate or to distinguish goods and services is through a continuum ranging from tangible dominant and intangible dominant as suggested by Lynn Shostak, which we will also be discussing later on. Another intangible element of a service business is the absence of inventories, meaning services can also be used but not stored, unlike a product that we can keep or stockpile upon purchase. Services are also said to be inseparable from the individual offering them for a simple fact that people who are availing services are incorporating the quality of service received to the crew or to the service personnel who deliver the assistance. Similarly, this is why James Hesketh et al. Have justified that customer satisfaction results from the realization of high levels of value compared to competitors, and that value is created by satisfied, committed, loyal, and productive employees. And this is the same reason why businesses have no prescribed way of standardizing services. Last but not the least, service quality is hard to measure statistically because the measurement of a service offered lies on the customer satisfaction, which is really difficult to quantify because every client has its own definition and level of contentment or gratification. A good service to you may still be a bad service to others. But if a business invests well in its services, customers will always notice the value and efforts of the service company and its personnel. As mentioned in the previous slide, one of the best ways to distinguish goods or products from services is through placing them on a continuum as first suggested by Lynn Shostak in 1977. For us to better understand the figure presented in this slide, let us put in mind the idea that all product offerings in the market are a combination of products and services, wherein it is a mix of both tangible and intangible elements. But then, of course, we also have this what we call pure service companies, which mainly provide only intangible offerings. For example, for the following physical elements, the salt, detergents, CD player, wine, golf clubs, new car, tailored clothing, and even fast food restaurant also have intangible elements present to its products. As the dots in the continuum go downwards, the physical or the intangible elements are diminishing, meaning from pure tangible elements, it becomes a combination of both tangible and intangible elements, then finally to pure intangible elements, which we call as services. For example, the following business offers services to its clients: plumbing repair, health club, airline flight, landscape maintenance, consulting, life insurance, and internet banking. But just like with products, the more the dots go downwards, the more the products or services become intangible. So if it is intangible, imagine what the consumers are really buying. Simply, the answer is the experience or the satisfaction they get when purchasing your product or service offering. This is the reason why customer satisfaction is a fundamental component of any service industries. Moving on, let us proceed with the evolution of service marketing. Fish, Brown, and Bittner in 1993 divided this evolution into three stages. First is the crawling out from 1953 to 1979. Second is the scurrying about from 1980 to 1985. And third is the walking erect from 1986 to 1993. We will tackle one by one each stages on the succeeding slides. The crawling out stage was a time of discovery and risk-taking. The period captures the embryonic beginnings of services marketing in 1953. In this stage, researchers discussed and explored whether services marketing deserve a separate place from goods in the marketing literature. The debate on the differences and distinguished features between goods marketing and services marketing marked the end of crawling out stage in 1979. The scurrying about period represents a time of high interest and enthusiasm in services marketing. For the first time in North America, Conferences on the topic brought together established and novice contributors, which paved way to a significant increase in services marketing literature. In the latter stage of scurrying about, the focus was on the implications of the differences between goods and services. Lovelock in 1983 attempted to classify services into different types, noting that there is too much emphasis on looking for the distinctive facets between goods and services marketing, which are actually not strong enough to develop better insights in the service sector. And because of this continuous debate, and in the attempt to develop an acceptable understanding of services marketing, the arguments on the differences of the two concepts began to grow smaller of interest. This also put in place the foundation of the third and last stage, walking erect. In the walking erect stage, services marketing literature can be characterized as a period of explosive growth in numbers of publications and increasing empirical and theoretical rigor in content. Since then, services marketing was established as a distinct field. There has been almost no discussion whether services are different from goods after 1986, but rather the literature has focused on specific marketing problems of service businesses. And in the course of 20th century's last decade, the center of interest shifted to various aspects of services such as service quality, service experience, managing demand and supply gap, increasing tangibility of intangible service processes, role of technology service processes, among others. Now that we have a background on the evolution of services marketing, let us address and answer the question, what are the driving forces stimulating the rapid growth of service economy at present time? Under the governmental policies, we have the following factors: changes in regulations, privatization, new rules to protect stakeholders and the environment, and new agreements on trade in services. For social changes, ensuing impact on service economy are the rising consumer expectations, more affluence or richness and increased resources. More people are short of time, hence outsourcing to personal childcare and or home cleaning services. Increased desire for buying experiences versus things. Rising consumer ownership of high-tech equipment. Easier access to more information. Immigration and the presence of a growing but aging population. In terms of business trends, the following are stimulating transformation of the service economy. The push to increase shareholder value by searching for new revenue sources. We also have the emphasis on productivity and cost savings, the value added by manufacturers through service and self-services. For example, the IBM's consulting and IT services for financial markets. Other factors under the business trends includes more strategic alliances and outsourcing, the focus on quality and customer satisfaction, growth of franchising, and marketing emphasis by nonprofits. Along with the advances in information technology are the growth of internet, greater bandwidth, compact mobile equipment, wireless networking, faster and more powerful software, and the digitization of text, graphics, audio, and video. And finally, we have globalization as one of the main elements driving the service economy's transformation and encompassing the operations of more companies on transnational basis. Also by offshoring customer service support provided to clients, another is the increase on international travel and international mergers and alliances. Summarizing the factors stimulating transformation of the service economy are governmental policies, social changes, business trends, advances in information technology, and globalization. Mentioned elements are among the powerful vehicles shaping today's service landscape. All things considered, these forces create new markets and innovations in products, which increase the demand and competition for services in the existing markets. Likewise, the application of new and improved technologies set the scene for a more comprehensive use of delivery systems, which in factuality are already present in the local market or in the municipal level, and was even extensively reinforced in the middle of COVID-19 pandemic as an example. The key characteristics of services are as follows. First is intangible, which we have already been mentioning many times throughout the discussion. Second is heterogeneous. Third is inseparable, which we have also tackled earlier. And fourth is perishable. Lovelock in 1983 developed an extensive taxonomy for services. And when we say taxonomy, this is a branch of science or the practice concerned with categorization. The classification made by Lovelock was an attempt to address one of the following aspects: nature of service act, type of relationship that the service organization has with its customers, scope for customization and judgment in service delivery, nature of demand and supply for the service, and a method of service delivery. The main objective of establishing these typologies is to provide greater insights and better understanding of the fast-changing environment, development, and innovation in the service sector. At this point, we will review one by one the four key characteristics of services. Number one is intangible, which was first used in literature by William J. Regan in 1963. Services, as we repeatedly scrutinized for most part of the discussion, are not physical products which cannot be touched, seen, or smelled. And since services are intangible in nature, it is difficult to gather information about them or to compare various alternatives. The second characteristic of services are being heterogeneous in nature. It is difficult to standardize services due to its diverse characteristics. Even if the same person is performing the service again and again, the service output tends to be heterogeneous. Companies try to make their services more homogeneous or similar and consistent by using standardized processes or through technological innovations. The third characteristic of services are inseparable, which means it cannot be separated from the source. Therefore, the role of service provider is very crucial to its service employees, who are seen to be one of the most important assets of service industries in providing quality experience to the customers. For example, in a hospital, the doctor is part of the consultation service that is being provided to patients. The doctor, in this case, is inseparable to his or her profession in maintaining and restoring human health, and at the same time, cannot also be separated in the hospital. In contrast, goods or products are manufactured and distributed to wholesalers, retailers, or other middlemen, who later sell the goods or products to the end customers. The fourth and last characteristics of services are perishable, which mean services are produced and consumed at the same time. Simply put, we cannot have an inventory of services. For example, a haircut or seat in an airline cannot be stored. Perishability becomes a challenge for the service providers since it is difficult to regulate supply with changes in demand. Given all these things, the solution in solving the four challenges, or the key characteristics of services as we say, is by establishing a good system or a competitive process which the service company can use, such as the provisions of feedback mechanisms and online reviews to quickly address customer concerns. It is a strong point to take into account the vital role of customer satisfaction in keeping your current customers and attracting new ones. I can still remember when I was still connected with my first employer, it is one of our goals to provide good CX, or good customer satisfaction, because we believe that only by providing quality service, we can retain our existing and new clients, which in return will also help the company boost its recurring revenue. This concludes the end of Presentation 1. Please study and take note of the important concepts discussed in this lesson. Up next is Presentation 2, the 7 P's of Services Marketing. Thank you for listening.